The big bombastic new single from the Manic Street Preachers, Show Me the Wonder. And just yesterday afternoon I spoke to Nicky, the bassist from the band, and started the interview by asking, where should we start, Nicky? And this is what he said.
I guess with the title track with Mr. Hawley, really. It's a long old beast, 6.5 minutes of uplifting heartbreak, as I described it.
Oh, that is a good description. Rewind the film. It's absolutely stunning, and it's very cinematic. It's quite a departure for the Manics, and musically, and especially with his vocals on it. I think people have been mistaken for thinking it's a different band.
Yeah, and also the way we wrote it was really odd, because Richard Hawley's bit is sort of based around David Axelrod's track called Little Girl Lost, which doesn't have any vocals. It's just an instrumental piece of music, and I came up with this vocal line because I just love this bit so much. And then we re-recorded all of David Axelrod's bit, which is quite hard because it was kind of like an orchestra. And then James came up with the other bit, which he sings. And then, of course, I don't want to sing at all because I hate my voice, so James asked Richard Hawley, and the magic started.
Oh, fantastic. I think it almost sounds a bit Johnny Cash when I first heard it. There's something really, there's gravitas to it, isn't there?
Yeah, it is, and it was kind of much more feminine when I was singing, and we wanted to retain that vulnerability, but have it with something almost Scott Walker-ish as well about it, and that cinematic vision, and the whole album's pretty brave for us because there's hardly any of James's guitar, and there's no big string sections and anthemic choruses as such, so it's quite a departure for us, really. It's
an interesting way to come back, because you've been on this quiet period in terms of what you've been doing in the UK. So you came back with something very different and fresh. And also the video to it. It's wonderfully Manics, isn't it? And the poignancy.
Yeah, I think both the videos are two of the best things we've ever done. They feed into each other. The Rewind the Film, Kieran Evans has done them both, and obviously it starts with the present day view. Rewind the Film is all kind of melancholic dereliction mixed with beautiful nature of now, and then Show Me the Wonder transports you back to the same sort of a club in the same place in the 70s, which was really enjoyable to do up in Porth. I think both of them, and then for the next single we'll be sort of moving into the 80s, and you'll have lots of minor strikes and bad perms and big shoulder pads, so there's a kind of high concept going on with the videos on this one.
And you've got the young actor from Submarine,
Craig Roberts,
that's it, and he's on the video for Show Me the Wonder. So it's not, you always kind of keep your eye on the game, really, in terms of the other creative people doing things. I think it's really nice that you've brought him into the video.
Yeah, I mean, Submarine's one of my favourite. It's kind of like Gregory's Girl for 40-year-olds, It's just creates that same kind of atmosphere, but sort of 10, 20 years later, and the kind of touches of it, the school stuff, the utter pain of rejection from a girl when you're 15 or 16. The beautiful touches, the Welsh touches. The book's great as well by Joe Dunthorne. And so Kieran asked Craig if he fancied doing it, and he was brilliant. The whole day he was just really cool. Brought lots of his mates with him.
Yeah, and I saw you do the Passion, and you were in a working men's club there doing the same kind of gig, really.
Well, we were going to, stage it there, but it was a bit too big. We wanted something kind of really sweaty. Yeah. And it did happen to be the hottest day of the year as well, with no air conditioning, so the sweat was just dripping off it. Warm pints were being pulled,
I do think there's something special about these working men's clubs, though, around South Wales, isn't there? The way they look and things. There should be some kind of chronicling of these places before they disappear, I think.
Should be listed buildings, shouldn't they?
Yeah, definitely some of them. What a great concept as well for the album, to have this storyline be followed through in each of the sort of visualisation of the songs as well. Is this what you want to reflect? Obviously, you've been thinking about it for a while, but the themes of the album then, Nicky?
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of loss on the album, and face to face with mortality, and, we're all 44 at the moment. Sean's just turned 45, and kids and families, and you realise that you're the grown-ups, really. Your parents are getting old, and people kind of disappear around you, and things disappear as well. So I think maybe Postcards from a Young Man was much more a defiant celebration, really, of youth and rock and roll and the dream of music, but this is much more the doubt, the existentialist doubt of how do you kind of navigate yourself through, this track called Run Out of Fancy, which particularly deals with the idea that we still love it so much, being in a band and traveling and getting on stage, but you have to question yourself a bit sometimes when you're knocking on a bit.
I like hearing you saying that, because it's just, I think it's the brutal honesty that the Manics have always had that means that every time you bring an album out, there is something different going on. You're going on your own personal journey and you reflect it in the creativity, really.
We needed, after Postcards, we sort of, every bit of anthemic joy and passion and all those kind of great trademarks that we have at times, probably got it all out of us with our album. We're really proud of the record, and for a 10th album, and did really well, and we were from Send Away the Tigers right through to then. We've had a brilliant sort of rebirth, but this felt like a big departure, really, that it's kind of really some very raw self-critiques in the new record, and questioning the band's values and the loss of principles, and do we give up on certain things, and just the loss of people around us as well. So it's Leonard Cohen was a big influence as well, the way he can seemingly get so many words in but still make everything flow.
Do you feel like the recording processes or the songwriting process is getting better as well, and you've got your own space and your own studio in terms of the time you get to do things?
Yeah, I think we trust each other a lot more. I mean, this album is quite fractured because certain phases we just haven't been together. There's certain tracks where I'll just come in and sort of like something like Four Lonely Roads, I kind of virtually put that together on my own. And then, I didn't want to sing it. And so we asked Kate LeBon because we just wanted something really pure. And then the guy, James and Sean, did a couple of tracks in Berlin. I couldn't make it initially because my dad was in hospital and my wife was in hospital. So we wrote one track, Builder of Routine, was actually written by text. I had these lyrics on text. And I just sent that over to James. So we really trust each other, in terms of songwriting. I think this album, in terms of pure songwriting, we've reached something of a peak. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the best or most commercial, but in terms of our knowledge then, I guess, songwriting, I think we've reached a really good level.
I'm looking forward to hearing the tracks with Kate LeBon and Lucy Rose as well as another collaborator. Yeah. How did you pick the collaborators?
Kate LeBon seemed pretty obvious. We love duets with female singers anyway. Me and James wrote for Shirley Bassey. We've also had Nina, Kylie, Tracy Lords. There's a long tradition of it, and I just love her voice. I wasn't sure whether she'd do it because she's a bit of an indie ice princess in the best possible way. But I think she might have been a bit shocked how kind of folky and lo-fi the track was, because everyone has sort of developed an image of us. When she was in LA doing her album, and she just sent her over. And at the start of the record, you could actually hear her kind of walking up to the mic in her high heels, clipping away, which we kept on. And she just nails it in about 3 takes, And Lucy Rhodes, we just wanted something really broken and fragile because the track she sings on is particularly kind of Leonard Cohen influenced. And those kind of Leonard Cohen duets in the 70s have a lot of kind of female backing singers and duets and stuff.
Is there a track to come then, Nicky, that you're particularly proud of in terms of the work and the words?
I'm very happy with the words on this album. I think I've really tried to soak up as many influences subconsciously and consciously, and they just sort of come out now. They pop out without even trying, be it R.S. Thomas or Gore Vidal quotes, bits and pieces, or titles of paintings. And I think Rewind the Film is pretty much as tender and as open as I'll ever get with a lyric, really, which I don't really like doing. I'd much rather write something nasty and caustic, but I think is about as open as I'll ever get.